If you've ever wondered why some loaves of bread taste so much richer and have that unique tangy flavor, you're in for a treat. There's one type of bread that stands out from the rest. And it's not just because of its flavor, but also because of how it's made and the unique qualities it brings to the table. Join me as we explore how sourdough bread is different from regular bread. Let's start with a quick overview of what we're talking about when we say bread. At its core, bread is a mixture of flour and water, with some type of leavening to make it rise. The leavening agent is usually yeast, a microorganism that ferments the dough, releasing carbon dioxide, which gives bread its fluffy, airy structure. There are countless types of bread around the world, from simple white sandwich loaves to hearty whole grains and everything in between. And while they all might look different and taste unique, most traditional bread recipes use commercially produced yeast for leavening, which is fast, predictable, and easy to work with. Sourdough doesn't rely on the commercial yeast you'd find in a typical packet. Instead, it's made with a naturally fermented starter, a mixture of flour and water that captures wild yeast and lactic acid bacteria from the environment. This starter is the key to sourdough's unique taste and texture, and it's what sets it apart from regular bread. A sourdough starter can live indefinitely with proper care, making it a living culture that needs to be fed and nurtured. This process allows wild yeast and bacteria to thrive, giving sourdough bread its signature tangy flavor and chewy texture. Unlike regular bread, which can be baked in just a few hours, sourdough can take days to prepare. The fermentation process is slow, allowing more time for the natural bacteria and yeast to interact with the flour, breaking down the gluten and adding layers of flavor. One of the first things people notice about sourdough is its flavor. While regular bread often has a mild, slightly sweet flavor due to the quick action of commercial yeast, sourdough has a complex, tangy taste. This flavor comes from lactic acid bacteria in the sourdough starter, which creates lactic and acetic acids during fermentation. These acids are what give sourdough its distinct sourness, and the longer the dough is fermented, the stronger this tangy flavor becomes. So, while regular bread can be deliciously mild and simple, sourdough offers an extra depth of flavor that you just can't get from standard yeast-based bread. Texture is another big difference. Regular bread tends to be soft, with a relatively even crumb structure and thin crust, which is great for sandwiches and everyday use. It's light, airy, and easy to slice. In contrast, sourdough has a unique, chewy, hearty texture, with an open crumb and larger air pockets inside. This is due to the long fermentation process and the specific characteristics of wild yeast. Sourdough also tends to have a much thicker, crispier crust, which comes from baking it at a high temperature with steam. The thick crust and chewy texture might not make sourdough ideal for every type of sandwich, but it's perfect for people who love rustic, artisanal bread with character. One of the reasons sourdough has gained popularity is due to its potential health benefits. During the long fermentation process, the bacteria in the starter partially break down the gluten, making sourdough easier to digest for some people who are sensitive to gluten. The fermentation also helps neutralize phytic acid, a compound found in wheat and other grains that can inhibit mineral absorption. As a result, sourdough may allow your body to better absorb certain nutrients compared to regular bread. Some studies also suggest that the acids in sourdough can have a positive effect on blood sugar levels, helping to slow the release of glucose into the bloodstream. This might make sourdough a good choice for those watching their blood sugar. There's a reason sourdough is often considered an art form among bakers. Making sourdough requires a lot of patience, as the starter needs to be kept alive, fed regularly, and carefully maintained. When it's time to bake, the dough itself requires hours to rise and develop its flavor and structure. This process can be intimidating, but it's also rewarding. Sourdough bakers become very attached to their starters, often naming them and treating them as a special part of their kitchen. In a way, each loaf of sourdough is unique, with slight variations in flavor and texture based on the baker's method, environment, and the natural microorganisms in the starter. So, why are people flocking to sourdough now? There's a renewed interest in natural traditional foods, and sourdough perfectly fits this movement. Many people appreciate the simplicity of ingredients, just flour, water, and salt, and the opportunity to be part of a tradition that goes back thousands of years. Making sourdough at home has also become popular as it allows for a connection to the baking process. It's a hands-on experience that gives people a sense of accomplishment and pride. With its health benefits, flavor, and rustic appeal, sourdough has become a symbol of mindful eating and craftsmanship, making it more than just a type of bread. So, to wrap it up, what makes sourdough bread so different from regular bread? From its natural starter and long fermentation to its distinctive tangy taste, thick crust, and potential health benefits, sourdough has a character all its own. Whether you're a fan of that unique flavor or just love the process of baking, sourdough is definitely worth a try. Thanks for watching, and if you found this helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe for more food content like this one.